Meanwhile, the president has cautioned health facilities not to turn away patients who report to facilities with excuses that there are no beds.
Also in the bulletin tonight, family of 29-year-old hit-and-run victim Charles Emisa, who was turned away by 3 hospitals, hopeful growing national attention will help end the no-bed syndrome in the healthcare system.
In business tonight, President Mahama says Reset Agenda returns 6 billion cedis to Ghanaians and restructures $1.1 billion energy sector debt.
Much later in international news, UN investigative body warns South Sudan risk a return to full-scale war amid escalating violence.
Many thanks for joining us. We have details of these and more in the next 60 minutes. Stay with us.
Let's start the bulletin from here. President John Dramani Mahama says the country's economic credibility has been restored and is currently ranked among top 10 countries in Africa. He says difficult decisions have been taken to ensure stability, adding that government is now ready to implement the 24-hour economy and other flagship policies. At a second State of the Nation address, he justified the cocoa price reduction, but the minority has described his address as lacking reality.
He arrived in grand style. Received by the guard of honor, the president was ushered into the chamber to fulfill his constitutional mandate. The minority members, clad themselves in black, entered the chamber with cocoa pots and wore sashes with inscriptions that meant that they stand with cocoa farmers.
We did not arrest the dollar. We strengthened the cedi to put up a good fight against the other currencies. I can say to you with confidence, Ghana is back. Ghana is working again. And Ghana is open for business. Mr. Speaker, our nation is on the runway. It is in takeoff mode. And you are all advised to fasten your seat belts.
He touted the strength of the cedi and noted that the reforms made in the cocoa sector were a necessary evil.
We have had to take the painful but necessary decision to revise the producer price of cocoa to achieve competitive pricing and resolve the acute liquidity challenges in the sector. Mr. Speaker, would have meant borrowing billions in borrowed funds. Mr. Speaker, this unplanned expenditure would have taken us right back to the very devastating economic problem we have only recently begun to escape. The reforms announced by government will see a total transformation of the cocoa sector.
The president detailed security, tourism, transport, and other gains made in the last year and what plans government has for the next year. However, the minority is not satisfied.
Honorable members. Mr. President addressed Ghanaians as though he was on a campaign platform. This government is only fixated on PR rather than serious governance that will create jobs. One incentive that would have promoted this 24-hour economy is cheaper electricity. So if government is making electricity expensive to consume, to use, how does a government attract investment?
Alexander Fiomaki noted that most of the achievements touted by the president remain in the books but lack reality. He assured cocoa farmers of the minority's support.
The goal for forex and the goal for reserves, these were strategic decisions that were and remain the brainchild of our flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. We think that instead of the president taking credit for it, he should give the credit to Dr. Bawumia. Now, Mr. President talks about inflation having coming down. And the inflation, are we going to eat inflation? What is inflation on paper when it has no effect in the pocket of the ordinary Ghanaian? We stand with Ghanaian cocoa farmers.
On Monday, the minority says it will present what it has described as the true state of the nation address. Christian Yale, TV3 News, Parliament.
And President Mahama has cautioned health facilities not to turn away patients who report to facilities across the country with excuses that there are no beds. The president's comment during the State of the Nation address comes after the death of Charles Emisa, who was reportedly denied treatment by 3 separate hospitals over claims of no bed available at the facilities to accommodate him.
Delivering his State of the Nation address in Parliament, the President said the directive forms part of broader efforts to reform and strengthen Ghana's healthcare delivery system amid increasing demand for services and infrastructure constraints in some facilities.
The Ministry of Health is expected to issue guidelines to eliminate the unacceptable no-bed syndrome. Patients facing medical emergencies must be received and given help, if even under makeshift conditions. You don't need to have a comfortable bed to save a patient. No patient must be turned away from any health facility they report to.
He also raised concerns over the growing burden of non-communicable diseases, which he said accounts for 40% of deaths recorded at health facilities nationwide. On the National Health Insurance Scheme, the President noted that measures are underway to increase provider tariffs to 100% to improve service delivery, while touting an increase in enrollment from 57% to 66%, signaling renewed public confidence in the scheme.
The National Health Insurance Levy has been uncapped. Claims payments are now timely, with facilities no longer waiting more than 6 months as happened in the past for payment to be made. We're also finalizing measures to increase provider tariffs by over 100% to reflect the realistic cost of health treatment. As a result of the increased trust, NHIS enrollment has risen from 57% at the start of 2025 to 66% today.
He also acknowledged the challenge of trained but unemployed health professionals and pledged to expand recruitment and place more health workers on the government payroll.
Looking ahead, government will expand recruitment and take necessary action to add more health workers onto the payroll. We will also correct the maldistribution of health workers through targeted incentives for health workers who agree to serve in underserved areas. Let me use this opportunity to appeal to our gallant health workers to accept postings to our underserved areas, seeing as it is a national call to duty, while we work to ensure that they have an enabling environment to do their work.
The President further outlined plans to scale up specialist training locally, expand and retool health infrastructure, and build a more self-resilient health system.
Well, let's go to the Makola markets, where government intention to establish a women's development bank stood out for most foodstuff traders at the Makola market in Accra, whilst they welcomed the commitment of some 401 million cedis as captured in the 2026 budget. They equally stressed that its sustainability is dependent on their actions and inactions. They spoke to my colleague, George Queenan.
President John Dramani Mahama has honored a constitutional requirement, which is under Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution, by presenting the State of the Nation address to Parliament. There are issues about job creation, there were issues about education, there were issues about Women's Development Bank, there were issues about how best businesses can be supported to thrive. And so we are here at Makola. When you talk about Makola, women form the larger part of the demographics here. So we want to engage them, what they make of this very true state of the nation by the president, and what can be done best to ensure we move to the next level as a country.
Say ono ankasa say oye way for Ghana say why bank ama Ghana ma edwadifuo mba say ya ye be save honum ye dey sika ba beto hom ye dey sika beto honum ye nim say ken ke benya interest at the end of the day no ye ba say ye pay loan na e say loan interest na that so no e say man ye very little
so ye ba so say ye be ye sika ba ko to bank hobi o man mo e den ye nto ade ye nto ba betina lo pasa ko se ni mre ni ato ade 20 Ghana nto o mo ka na juma mla Ghana na sika so na ye nto ade mai
ya de senyame e ba so nko ade a ye pe every sema ye bread to sika ye me to single parents enkwala na yensia wo mo ko school a obi a me man chop money asanta wako enti se e banko na se ye beboa ma ni ama ye loan ni etimi a support ni e de ye adwuma e beboa ye
loan wo ye ji loan na wo di ye bibi a interest be ba ho obi wa ha ji loan na afero ko twantoma obi wa ji loan na ko to le sakese ye nyi loan ye adwuma sa loan ye ji ye adwuma se wo ye adwuma no anya bi sa eti yamba na eti bank na guna na we mbia because oji wi a obedwane ontua.
We will monitor closely developments surrounding the establishment of the Women's Development Bank and furnish with updates in our subsequent bulletins. George Quinning, TV3 News, Makola Market, Accra.
Well, let's just stay with the budget. Crosby, you have some numbers and data and figures for us on what the president has been talking about today.
So the president has been speaking about people who have found employment. We can take a listen to President John Dramani Mahama when he was speaking in Parliament today, according to data from the Ghana Statistical Service. Because today, our analysis of the State of the Nation address, it focuses on employment and jobs. In his address, the president made an emphatic statement that over 1 million Ghanaians have found employment. This is what he said. Now, pay close attention to the wording, have found employment, not jobs created or employment provided. Let's listen to the president.
To the Ghana Statistical Services, over 1 million Ghanaians have found employment between Q1 and Q3 of 2025. Mr. Speaker, and 950,000 Ghanaians have escaped multi-dimensional poverty over the same period. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to report that our external position has strengthened significantly.
Well, that's President John Dramani Mahama in Parliament today. Like we mentioned, that we're focusing on employment. Now, when we hear that over 1 million people have found employment, it sounds like a big breakthrough. But to truly understand what is happening in Ghana's labor market, we must move beyond the headline and then break the numbers down properly. First, let's talk about net jobs created, like you see on the screens right now. The 2025 report by the Ghana Statistical Service says that 330,000 net jobs were created between Q1 and then Q3 of 2025. What does this mean? What does net jobs mean? It means that 330,000 brand new jobs. It does not mean they appeared and nobody lost work. That's not what it means. It means that some people got new jobs, some people lost their jobs. But when you subtract the jobs lost from the jobs gained, the balance left is 330,000. This is what this means, net jobs. For example, if 500,000 people found jobs, okay, but 170,000 people lost their jobs, the difference is 330,000, and that is their net gain in terms of employment. So net jobs tells us whether the economy is expanding or shrinking in terms of employment overall. Now, let's move to one of the bigger issues we're looking at. What type of jobs are people getting? As mentioned by the president, that people are finding jobs. The same report from the Ghana Statistical Service, it shows that 72.2% of workers, they are in vulnerable employment. Now, that is nearly 7 out of 10 working Ghanaians. 7 out of 10 working Ghanaians. Let me explain to you what vulnerable employment means. This is what it means. In simple terms, vulnerable jobs, they are jobs that do not guarantee regular income. That's one. 2, jobs that may not be providing pensions, jobs that may not be providing paid leaves, and then jobs that do not offer health insurance through an employer. Jobs that have no formal contract is an example. Jobs that can disappear at any time. Now, these jobs, they are often informal. They are often unstable and highly exposed to economic shocks. So let's make it practical. Examples of vulnerable jobs in Ghana, they can include a mason or a carpenter who works only when someone calls. If you like, an Uber or Bolt driver who owns or rents a car, a spare trotro driver has no employment benefit. A woman doing some home-based catering or nanny jobs with no formal arrangement. These people are working hard. That's the truth. They are contributing to the economy. That's also true. But if business slows down tomorrow, there's no safety net. If they fall sick, if income stops, if prices rise sharply, if profit disappears, if demand drops, their work reduces immediately. That is vulnerability. So when you hear that employment has increased, the key question becomes, are we creating more secure, stable jobs? Secure and stable, very important. Or are we simply increasing the number of people surviving in informal work? It's good to increase the number of people doing informal work. Very good. However, we should look at stability and security, because we don't want the kind of employment that you wake up the next day, that job is no more. There's also another layer that we're looking at here. We're talking about what workers say their skill sets are being used for. Now, if you look at what you see on your screens right now, 1 in 5 workers, they say that their skill sets are underused. That means that a trained engineer may be doing basic sales work. There's no problem with that. It's very good. At least you're doing something. However, based on your skill set, that is not what you want to do, not what you're supposed to do. That is not what you, the employee, you want to do. So yes, employment numbers may improve, but if most jobs are informal, most jobs are unstable, most jobs are not using people's skills in the right way, then the long-term economic impact will be limited. So the real national conversation should not just be how many jobs were created. If 1,000 jobs are created, it is good. But also, what quality are those jobs? Can those jobs lift families out of poverty? Do those jobs provide security? Do they build long-term economic growth? Because employment is not just about activity. It is also about stability, dignity, and then security. We're saying a lot of things here. Informal jobs are good. However, we should look at making those informal jobs, making them stable, making them secure, so that, again, somebody who is working at a shop as a sales boy, a sales girl, does not wake up the next day, and then because profit margins have reduced, your madam or your boss will come and tell you that, I'm sorry, I cannot work with you. That's what we're talking about. Informal employment is good. However, we should look at improving it. We should look at helping people who are finding jobs, find proper, stable, and then secure jobs. We're still staying on the State of the Nation address, and then we'll get some more stories from Grace.
Right, Crosby, the president, as you already know, earlier today delivered the State of the Nation address, a constitutional requirement that provides insight into the country's current state and future direction. But what is the significance of this event, and what does it mean for Ghana's development? Judith Brown has more in this explainer.
Every year, the president stands before Parliament to deliver the State of the Nation address, commonly called the SONA. But beyond the ceremony, the applause, and the political commentary, a simple question arises. What exactly is the State of the Nation address, and why is it necessary? Well, first, the State of the Nation address is a constitutional requirement. It is not optional. Under Article 67 of Ghana's 1992 Constitution, the President is required to address Parliament. It states that, and I quote, "The President shall at the beginning of each session of Parliament and before a dissolution of Parliament deliver to Parliament a message on the state of the nation," unquote. Well, this means the President must formally account to the representatives of the people and by extension to the people on how the country is being governed. And this is one of the most direct ways the President is held publicly accountable. It is a moment when the head of state reports on the condition of the economy, security, education, health, infrastructure, and governance. In simple terms, it is the president saying, this is where the nation stands. This is what we have done, and this is what we intend to do. Beyond reporting, the address sets the policy direction for the year and sometimes beyond. It outlines government priorities and signals what Parliament, public institutions, investors, and the citizens should expect. Ministries and agencies often align their programs and budgets based on the policy signals contained in the State of the Nation address. Again, the State of the Nation address also activates Parliament's oversight role. Once the President has stated government policies and intentions, Parliament can interrogate them, debate them, and hold ministries accountable for implementation. Without this formal statement, it becomes difficult to measure whether government's actions match its promises. Additionally, the State of the Nation address promotes transparency. It places key national issues in the public domain and invites debate not only in Parliament, but among citizens like you and the civil society, the media, and experts. Development partners, foreign governments, and investors pay close attention to the State of the Nation address to understand Ghana's economic outlook, stability, and policy consistency. In that sense, it serves as an official signal of national intent to the international community. So when next you hear the State of the Nation address, think of it not as a president simply showing up in Parliament to deliver a politically correct speech amidst pomp and pageantry. Think of it as a constitutional compliance. Think of it as accountability, transparency, parliamentary oversight, and policy clarity. Why? Because it's not just a speech. It is a democratic tool that connects leadership to the people and sets the tone for national governance. When the President delivers the State of the Nation address, it is ultimately not about politics. It is about accounting to the nation. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
And I'm certain that you now know all about the State of the Nation address. Let's do some other stories tonight. The family of 29-year-old Charles Emisa, the hit-and-run victim, who was turned away by 3 hospitals, say their grief must not be in vain. As they look to action following his burial, relatives say they are hopeful the growing national attention will help end the no-bed syndrome in the healthcare system. Samuel Yabua Adams reports.
Tears, quiet prayers, and heavy hearts filled the atmosphere as family and friends gathered to say their final goodbye to 29-year-old engineer Charles Emisa. For many present at the funeral, the pain of his loss is made even deeper by the circumstances surrounding his death.
This is a grief layered with heartbreak and unanswered questions. The agony of knowing that despite knowledge, training and faith in the system, my son could not be shielded from suffering. No family should endure such pain.
He was a brother to 2 sisters who are doctors, yet the system they work for failed their very own in a critical moment.
While you needed emergency care, while every minute counted, while your life depended on immediate help, you deserved care. You deserved urgency. You deserved more time.
Now, as he is laid to rest, his family says they are holding on to one hope, that the attention from the incident will not fade after the burial.
We are hoping that the government has heard our cry, has heard the cry of the people, and they'll be able to meet in Parliament and be able to pass an emergency care bill that will put some fear, how to put sympathy and everything in our health workers. We want him to be remembered as the one who ended a no-bed syndrome in this country.
For the Accident Victim Support Foundation, the interdiction and suspension of the culprit are not enough.
I believe that since Parliament has waded into this discussion, but it shouldn't end there. I believe that there should be policy review. They should look at the policy review. There is the compensation fund that is supposed to help crash victims, hit and run cases. Compensation fund should be empowered.
Charles's passing has been described as an amplifier one that seeks to push the nation to confront the realities of emergency care and ensure no family endures this kind of goodbye again.
Well, may the soul of Charles rest in peace. We hope that this is going to be the last time somebody will die because of an excuse of no bed in any facility. Let's see other stories now. The Minister for the Interior, Mohamed Mubarak Muntaka, is rallying development partners to support the rebuilding of the Binyiri community after months of communal conflict claimed 38 lives. Receiving the mediation committee's report, the Interior Minister stressed that beyond physical reconstruction, efforts must be directed at rebuilding trust and restoring social cohesion among residents.
Last year, a communal conflict that erupted in Binyiri between the Brefos and Gonjes escalated rapidly, spreading to several adjoining communities within the Sola Tuna Karba area of the Savannah region. The violence left 38 people dead, while several others fled to Vonkro in neighboring La Côte d'Ivoire. The conflict is believed to have stemmed from a long-standing dispute over the deployment of the IGP Special Operations Team eventually restored calm to the area. Subsequently, a mediation committee was inaugurated by the Interior Minister to investigate the root cause of the conflict and propose practical long-term solutions. On Friday, February 27, 2026, the mediation committee, made up of members of the National Peace Council, security experts, and representatives of both factions, presented 8 findings to the minister after extensive engagement with stakeholders in and around Binyiri. The report is expected to serve as a roadmap for rebuilding constructive relationships, tolerance, and peaceful coexistence between the feuding groups. Mohamed Mubarak Muntaka is the Minister for the Interior.
Once trust is lost among people, it's much easier to lose the trust. You can just lose it in a day. But to rebuild it, you can't rebuild it in just one day. It will require consistent and a lot of effort. So we'll be calling on every well-meaning Ghanaian to further help in solidifying the social cohesion in this area is something that will be most welcome.
The minister noted that all those who were displaced in Binyiri have returned home.
But I'm happy to say that almost every person who was displaced has been returned, unless those who voluntarily want to join other families somewhere. And we are working very hard to ensure that some of the losses that have been incurred, government takes that. With the help of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, action will be taken very swiftly on these recommendations.
Chairman of the Mediation Committee, Emmanuel Bombande, outlined key findings and recommendations in the report.
Very paramount is to create a mechanism of monitoring for the implementation of the findings that we call the key issues that, when implemented, will avert a repeat of the type of violence that visited us. And to also use Binyiri as an example that in any community afflicted by violence, it is possible for the communities themselves to work towards sustainable peace.
He called for stronger institutional capacities to prevent similar conflicts in the future and urged the implementation of livelihood restoration programs for victims.
How do we strengthen our institutions?
You're watching News 360. We're live also on all our social media platforms. We still have business, sport, and entertainment coming to you. But after this break, don't go away.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive. For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paints because with these small paints can paint huge area, meaning
It's that time of the year when Media General transforms into Ghana's cultural hub, and this year we're taking it to another level. Our Ghana village is bigger and better. So much to experience, eat, drink, buy, do and learn every single day. And there's more. The Ghana Month Expedition offers 3 nights and 4 days of pure, unforgettable fun touring the best part of the Eastern, Ashanti and Central regions from the 19th to the 22nd of March. And on the 28th March, all roads lead to the Legon City Mall for your favorite food event, the 3FM Gobe Festival. But that's not all. All throughout March, our screens and dials celebrate everything that makes us proud. Our shows, music, movies, festivals, history, traditions, and more. Welcome to a truly incomparable and totally immersive Ghana Month 2026. Ghana Month launches on all Media General platforms on Monday, 2nd March 2026 at 10 a.m. It's time to explore Ghana again. From 19th to 22nd March, join the Ghana Month Expedition. 3 regions, 4 days. Eastern, Ashanti, Central. We kick it off in Eastern region. Chocolate experiences, fresh farm fruits, Safari Valley lunch with zebras and exotic animals, Bonsu Eco Park for canopy walks and ziplining, and then party at the Rock City Hotel. Ashanti takes over. Bonre Kente Museum, Kumasi Museum, Komfornochi Source Site, Lake Bosomtri for hiking adventures and sleepover at Rich Condos. Central brings the history, Asing Manso, Cape Coast Castle, plus lunch by the coast, then a Crown Resort vacation, quad biking, horse riding, water adventures. All this for 6,500 Ghana Cedi single, 5,500 Ghana Cedi shared rooms, and 10,500 Ghana Cedis couple. You're interested, right? Call now 0531 100927 or 0247 120 633. Ghana Month Expedition, 19th to 22nd March. Don't just watch Ghana, experience it. It's that time of the year when Media General transforms into Ghana's cultural hub, and this year we're taking it to another level. Our Ghana village is bigger and better. So much to experience, eat, drink, buy, do and learn every single day. And there's more. The Ghana Month Expedition offers 3 nights and 4 days of pure, unforgettable fun touring the best part of the Eastern, Ashanti and Central regions from the 19th to the 22nd of March. And on the 28th March, all roads lead to the Legon City Mall for your favorite food event, the 3FM Gobe Festival. But that's not all. All throughout March, our screens and dials celebrate everything that makes us proud. Our shows, music, movies, festivals, history, traditions, and more. Welcome to a truly incomparable and totally immersive Ghana Month 2026. Ghana Month launches on all Media General platforms.